Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news for the Texas A&M Aggie fans this morning as former Kansas State offensive coordinator Collin Klein accepts the Texas A&M offensive coordinator position, joining Mike Elko as the play caller in College Station. And there's a lot of reason to be fired up if you are a Texas A&M Aggie fan with Coach Collin Klein. And I think the thing that I'm most excited for is the exact same thing I was excited for when I heard Mike Elko was coming to College Station is you're getting a coach in Collin Klein that has maximized the talent at Kansas State. Now, he's only a 2-year play caller at Kansas State, but you take a look at the success that he's had the last 2 years. In 2022, this was an offense that won a Big 12 championship at Kansas State. In 2023, even though they were dealing with some quarterback injuries, was still a team that went 8-4, scored 37.2 points per game. That was 11th in the country. And the reason I say maximizing talent, this is a Kansas State program that is not having an explosive offense because they just have the better athletes and they've recruited at a higher level than the other schools and programs in the Big 12. I mean, Collin Klein has proven that he can take a roster that might not be the most talented offense in the conference and have it be one of the best offenses in the conference. Very similar things we were talking about Coach Mike Elko. Where at Duke, he took a roster that was bottom in the ACC and won a lot of football games the last 2 years at Duke, and now he brings that to Texas A&M. You're getting a head coach and an offensive coordinator now that has proven that they can maximize the talent on their roster. And why I think that's so important is this Texas A&M team, and I don't care what you see on Twitter, this is one of the best one of the most sought after coaching jobs in the country. I think this Texas A&M program has one of the highest ceilings in all of college football. And if you can get coaches that have proven to maximize the talent on their rosters at Texas A&M, that's when you have something special. This is one of the most, this will be and is one of the most talented rosters in college football. You get coaches that can maximize that talent, something that just didn't happen under Jimbo Fisher and his tenure. And there's some special things that can happen at Texas A&M. Really excited. Want to talk about what we saw from Coach Collin Klein at Kansas State, what that offense looked like, and then what it's going to look like in College Station at Texas A&M. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. A special shout out to the Texas A&M fans. This is a program that it's been a blast covering the head coaching search, and the amount of support you guys have shown, it really does mean a lot. And this is a program that we're going to be talking about the next couple of weeks as that transfer portal is open. A lot of new faces coming in, a lot of old faces coming out. Really excited to, again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, would love to hear from you guys in terms of how we're feeling about this offensive coordinator hire at Texas A&M. And without further ado, let's get into Coach Collin Klein and what we saw at this Kansas State offense. And again, going back to, there's a lot of winning football at Kansas State. Won the Big 12 championship in 2022, went 8-4 in 2023, although they were battling some quarterback injuries, scoring 37 points per game. Again, top 15 scoring offense in the country. The thing I love most about Kansas State and the offense that you saw under Coach Collin Klein is it's a really balanced offense. I mean, this was an offense that ran the ball 197 yards per game, top 15 in the country. You look at the passing attack, almost 250 passing yards per game. It's an offense that's not predicated on one thing, and it's an offense that's not necessarily predicated on one particular player. Going back to the 2022 year, yes, that offense went through Deuce Vaughn, and when you have a special talent like Deuce Vaughn, the offense has to get as many touches as you can to a running back and playmaker like that. But in 2023, when you lost Deuce Vaughn, a lot of question marks were, what is this offense going to look like without their most explosive playmaker that they had in 2022? It was just fine. And what you saw in this Kansas State offense in 2023 was the ball getting distributed to a lot of different players and a lot of different playmakers emerging. I mean, a lot of different ways this Kansas State offense was able to attack opposing defenses, right? They ran the football extremely well in a lot of different ways, whether it was between the tackles, whether it was with the end arounds, whether it was with the quarterback. And then in the passing attack, a lot of tight ends up the seams, a lot of screens to the perimeter. They were able to hit the explosive play. You look at this Kansas State offense and you just watch some of the film, there's a lot of different schematics and a lot of different looks that this Kansas State offense is going to give you. And there's a lot of different players that were making plays for Kansas State. And when you have such a multitude of ways you can hurt a defense, That's kind of how you have defenses playing on their heels and have an offense scoring a lot of points. Now, a couple things I really do want to highlight in terms of this Kansas State offense and what you're excited about is that you talk about playing winning football, being good on third downs, being good in the red zones. Red zones, which was a massive struggle for Texas A&M in 2023. Kansas State was elite in both categories. On third down, they were converting 49% of their third downs. That was top 5 in the country. And why they were so successful is they just never really got behind the chains. And it was always 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. And so why were you completing 50% of your third downs? Because you never were really in an uncomfortable third down at Kansas State. It's an offense that stays on schedule. It doesn't take negative plays. Winning football often correlates with how good you are on third down. And Coach Collin Klein in that Kansas State offense was extremely good on third downs. Now you look at the red zone, top 20 in scoring percentage in the red zone, but more importantly than just scoring percentage, they were scoring touchdowns, right? They only kicked 7 field goals when they went into the red zone all year. This is a team that, and you look at like the goals Texas A&M has, which is SEC championships, national championships. You got to be good in the red zone, but you specifically have to be good in the red zone at scoring touchdowns. And Kansas State was extremely good at that. So the winning football aspect of this Kansas State offense was certainly there. They don't take negative plays. They're really good on third downs, and they're really good at scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And again, we're trying to bring winning football to Texas A&M because the talent is going to be there. Now you just got to implement winning football metrics, and that's exactly what Mike Elko and Coach Collin Klein are going to be bringing to Texas A&M. Now, I think the more interesting conversation is how does this offense look at Texas A&M? The biggest question mark I think a lot of Texas A&M fans have who are familiar with what this Kansas State offense looked like is what's the quarterback position going to look like in terms of running the football? Because at Kansas State the last 2 years, you have one, Collin Klein was a phenomenal dual-threat quarterback when he was playing his college football at Kansas State. Many people remember he's a Heisman Trophy finalist. This is a guy that had a lot of success being a dual-threat quarterback at the college football level. And you look at his offenses, Will Howard, the Kansas State quarterback, was running the football a lot for Kansas State and providing a lot of juice in terms of what he could do on the ground. If Connor Wigman's your starter in 2024, are you going to see Connor Wigman do what Will Howard did? And I would say no. But that being said, Will Howard only completed 58% of his balls as a Kansas State quarterback. He wasn't necessarily the best pocket passer that you've seen at the college football level. He's a great quarterback, was able to get it done with his legs a lot, but not necessarily the most accurate and prolific passer that you saw in college football. Connor Wigman, we all know how talented he is with his arm, and you know the wide receiver talent that's going to be in that Texas A&M room. What I'm most excited for is I think Texas A&M is going to be able to run the football, something they kind of struggled to do, and I think you got on Steve Adazio in that offensive line, but 3.9 yards per carry. That was 89th in the country for Texas A&M running the football last year. Again, you're getting an offensive coordinator that's had one of the better rushing attacks the last 2 years in college football. This run game, with all the talent that they have in that backfield, it's going to take a step in the right direction. But I think what you're most excited for, and I think what Coach Collin Klein is most excited for, probably why he took the job, was I get to work with one of the more talented quarterbacks in the country, in Connor Wigman, who, when healthy, was really making some strides in 2023, and a lot of talent at the wide receiver position. So you can kind of take those concepts of, hey, we're getting the ball to a lot of different people at Kansas State. We're going to do the same thing at Texas A&M. They're just going to be better football players. That's probably what you're most excited for, a really balanced offense that's really good in the red zone, really good on third down. It's a very good offensive-minded coach that's going to have a lot of talent at his disposal. Now, I do want to highlight just the one concern or one question mark that I have in terms of Collin Klein joining Mike Elko's staff is it's kind of inexperienced in both roles. I mean, Mike Elko's only been a head coach for 2 years at Duke. This is a massive step up to the Texas A&M program, and Coach Collin Klein's only been an offensive play caller for 2 years. So you have a very inexperienced head coach. You have a very inexperienced offensive play caller. Yeah, that's probably your biggest concern. But at the end of the day, both of these guys in their small sample size are really, really good at what they do. Being a head coach, being an offensive coordinator. For Texas A&M fans, a lot to be excited for. Appreciate you guys checking the boys out. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot of Texas A&M football the next couple of weeks. Now we know our offensive coordinator. Got to go get some weapons for the offense. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.